I think that walled gardens get a bad rap. I think we need more walled gardens. Walled gardens basically bring together an advertiser and a media owner where they can have a conversation, where they can apply data to meet the campaign goals or the objectives of the advertiser, right? There's a conversation that goes on between the two parties. They bring the data that they need to the table to understand it. So it may be schedule, it may be historical data on the media owner side, it may be specific audience information that they have that's proprietary to them because of the technologies that are used to deliver the media. On the other hand, you have the advertiser who has a goal and an expectation, and a lot of that gets lost in translation. And if you compare TV historically and how it was bought, and even to this day, and kind of the value of it, first you look at how much more money is easy to spend in television, right? If you want to spend several $1 million in television, it doesn't take you very much work, right? Maybe a few phone calls, a little back and forth, but I can spend my money, I can reach the audience that I've desired. We have an agreed upon methodology as to how that audience is going to be defined, how it's going to be measured, over what time period. Sure, there's some variability, but that conversation is very straightforward, and it's between the principals in the conversation. It's between someone who's representing the advertiser and someone who's representing the media owner. You can bring in data, and they work with, TV networks work with third-party data providers, some of the same ones that are involved in the digital space. You contrast that with how you contrast that with how digital media is bought and sold, right? So if you go back and you look at kind of all of the technology that's used to trade the digital media now, that was really used to monetize unsold inventory, right? You had a lot of inventory. This is net new money, great. We can apply a lot of technologies. We can look at performance. We can look at bottom of the funnel campaigns. Where is this opportunity to make some additional revenue? What's happening now is that as the consumption of the media shifts, things become more digital. TV becomes more digital, out of home becomes more digital, radio and audio becomes more digital. And the TV and media owners of kind of those large assets recognize that that's shifting and they have to adapt, but don't necessarily want to take on the complexity and the confusion and all of the difficulty it is to spend the money that happens in digital. If you want to spend $10 million in digital, that's a lot of work. Someone has to decide on viewability vendors and who's going to do the categorization and how are you going to do the brand safety and all of these different things. And sure, it's consolidating somewhat, but it's not necessarily an easy process. It's not a straightforward process. A lot of that gets encapsulated in private deals and private marketplaces, which is okay, but it's clunky, right? Because not every source represents mobile and video and desktop and social and whatever else. So now you have to have teams to manage all of that. That adds cost, complexity. You have different measurements. In the end, I think most advertisers really only care about meeting their goals and objectives of that campaign, whether it's brand awareness, which people say, well, that's not a performance objective, but there's clearly there's a budget against something and there's a return expected against that advertising. So no one is just spending money because they think it's fun. And if they do, then they probably don't care about any of this anyway. So if you look at why do people want to satisfy this, they want to reach their audience, they want to sell stuff. They don't care. Right now their audiences move, so they have to reach them in different places. So they have to address some of that complexity. But I think the big challenge for kind of moving towards more programmatic, if you will, or automated systems or trading systems and being able to leverage the technology that is available is a much simpler business model and a much simpler use case. And I think, if you will, a walled garden actually represents that, because you're trading in audiences. You're not trading in content, you're not trading in people, you're trading in people who are interested in what I may have to offer them, and you have people who represent that and have media that attracts those people.